The views and opinions expressed by a participant on this program do not necessarily reflect or represent the views or opinions of West Liberty University or WLU-TV 14.
Welcome to Hilltopper Sports Weekly Women's Basketball Edition. I am Todd Ollum, joined by head coach Kyle Cooper. Coach, thank you for being here. It's the second show that we've done so far. How did the first one go? You get the nerves out a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I got a little bit of backing coming from Coach Ollum throwing me into the fire these last couple years. So that definitely helped, but it's definitely good to be back on the show with you.
Well, it is great to have the second show here of the season for Hilltopper Sports Weekly Women's Basketball. We will look directly to the last game the Lady Toppers played against Slippery Rock University. We've got some highlights for you. Let's show you how that game ended. It was the day before Thanksgiving, so it was a Wednesday afternoon. At 1 p.m., Brandy Beater would start off the scoring with a three-point shot from the corner.
Yeah, and I think that's been a staple of who we are is just sharing the basketball. And when we do that, we're a lot more effective as a team when we shoot the three and get touches inside.
So a little bit later on in the first, Shives gets the defensive rebound, starts the fast break, and she finds Marissa Brown on the transition bucket.
Can't say enough about Marissa and the transition she's made and the transformation she's made over this last year. It's like watching a whole different player. She's more confident, she's faster, she's in better shape, and it's really given us a great lift.
And made it 6-0 Toppers. Brandy Beater will find herself in the lane. The left-handed shot does not go, gets an offensive rebound. That doesn't go, but Marissa Brown's there to clean things up. The Toppers would make it 8-2 at that point.
Yeah, and again, kind of Marissa stepping up in this game in a huge way. And one of the things you hate to see as a coach is a loss happening because it overshadows a great game by Marissa.
And this is Slippery Rock's Brooke Hinderleiter going coast to coast, getting the bucket and the and one that would give Slippery Rock their first lead 10-8. Then Morgan Henderson underneath backs down Fodor, makes it 14-10 Slippery Rock. And then McKenna Shives here would tie the game up at the end of the first quarter at 16 with a three-point shot. Audrey Tingle with the assist.
Yeah, and this is where Audrey becomes unbelievably effective for us, and it's great to have a true point guard in this year's system because it makes our motion go, not just our transition.
We move on to the second quarter. Olivia Belknap hits a three-point shot. Made it 19-18 West Liberty, but then Slippery Rock would go on a run after that. You see Patterson getting a shot off here. Missed it, gets her own rebound in the putback. Makes it a 10-point lead for Slippery Rock. The last 2.5 minutes of the second quarter, Tingle with a nifty move makes it 37-28.
And again, just the idea of having that true point guard. She does a great job of pushing tempo. They stay out on our shooters. She gets into the rim.
And Marissa Brown again. You see this nice move over Heinley. Makes it 41-30. West Liberty would start coming back at this point.
Yeah, and again, we kind of decided to work inside out in this game a little bit more because we felt we had a mismatch with Marissa.
And Audrey Tingle for three from the corner with less than a minute made it 43-35. The Toppers slowly but surely cutting down this score.
And I think it just became we started sharing the ball. And when we share the ball again, we're just so effective and kind of everybody gets their touches and scores.
The halftime score was 43-37. We moved to the third. Tingle with the runner to start the third and gets a bucket for the Lady Toppers.
Again, just the spacing. We actually commit to screening on this possession and moving the basketball, and great things happen when we do both those things.
It's going to be Marissa Brown once again. A nice move. You see her going over Henderson. Made it a 2-point game at that point, 45-43.
Yeah, and on this possession and a lot of them, she's getting a ton of contacts, but I think it fueled her a little bit in this game.
This is going to be Brandy Beater on a nice drive. Made it 52-48. The Toppers again coming back in this ball game, keeping it close.
Yeah, they started adjusting to Marissa, and what it did was it opened things up for our guards, and you see Brandy taking advantage of it there.
And even though they adjusted to Marissa Brown here at the end of the third, wide open on the fast break bucket with just time ticking down, made it 63-61. We move on to the fourth quarter. Brown again, 69-65. The Toppers trying to stay in this game.
Yeah, and again, we were in the fourth quarter, so we got to continue to pound the ball into Marissa, and hopefully that'll open things up, and it started to. And just unfortunately, I mean, you see us getting some gap drives there. We didn't have enough in the tank left there for us to knock some shots down the stretch that we needed.
McKenna Shives would get the land to make it 73-67. The final score was 89-74. Brooke Hinderleiter with 29 points for Slippery Rock, but Marissa Brown 28 points, 7 rebounds, went 9 of 14 from the floor. Shives with 16 points for the Lady Toppers. Even in the loss, though, Marissa Brown was just a dominant force against Slippery Rock.
Yeah, she really was, and I mentioned it earlier. It's just one of those things that you hate because when you take a loss, it just overshadows the fact that someone had a spectacular game. And Marissa's been a huge asset for us this year, and you're seeing a different player. And again, it's so hard as a coach to see her go, not rewarded like she should have been because, again, she was just completely dominant in that game on both ends.
And people hear us talk about how many points she puts up and, the amount of field goal percentage or how great she did last season. It's staying that way this year as well, but it's the detailed things, the little things, her diving on the floor for loose balls, things like that. It's the hustle plays that she makes nowadays as well as the points she puts up.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, she's defending way better. She's more into it. You can see a little bit of that passion come out to her because she's a pretty even keel kid. But you get to see it a little bit more of who she really is, and it's funny because what she doesn't realize is that she actually drives a lot of other players getting that way. When she's engaged on the court and we have that interior presence on both ends, it carries over to the rest of them. And the more and more we continue to talk about it, we hope that it's starting to come around, that it's a consistent thing, and she's constantly engaged.
And you can see in-game adjustments for the opposition having to adjust to Marissa Brown and the things that she does and how it opens up the things for her teammates, as you said during the highlights. I mean, there's so many things that go in to how well she has played so far this season, and it can only get better, honestly.
Yeah, and I think it's going to continue to be better, and the hope is that we don't have to rely on Marissa to have 30 every night to be in basketball games, but moving the ball inside out is benefiting us in a major way, and we're hoping that continues to help us. And if we can get some balanced scoring like we have in our couple wins and a couple of our better performances, I think we'll continue to thrive a little bit as a program.
Well, let's see how the Lady Toppers did team stat-wise against Slippery Rock in this game this past Wednesday afternoon, the day before Thanksgiving. Again, the Toppers fell 89-74, but they shot 38%, 23 of 60 from the floor. Both teams not shooting well from behind the arc. Both teams with just 4 3-pointers in the ball game, shooting pretty well from the free throw line, 24 of 33. And the Toppers getting 43 rebounds on the afternoon, 10 assists on those 23 made buckets as well.
Yeah, and for us, you hate to see that number be that low as 10 assists, but when you don't shoot the three well, it's naturally going to happen. Our goal is that we want to get an assist on the majority of our points because that's how we're built. And again, just not shooting the basketball does hurt us a lot because that is one thing I believe we do better than most teams we're going to go against, and only get 4. That doesn't reach our goal. We're hoping for 10, 11 or more a game, which then puts us in a great position if our interior is giving us something. We are getting to the rim a little bit to score high points. So,
well, the Lady Toppers play Urbana this Wednesday evening. They will also have Notre Dame Saturday afternoon. We will talk about those games coming up a little bit later on in the show. When we come back, though, we will take a look at some new signees for the Hilltoppers on Hilltopper Sports Weekly.
Yeah, you can be the greatest, you can be the best, you can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You can beat the world, you can beat the war. You could talk to God, go banging on his door. You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks. You can be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you can find yourself. Standing in the Hall of Fame. And the world's gonna know your name. And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be a champion. Be a champion on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers. Yeah, yeah. Be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions. Standing in the Hall of Fame.
Welcome back to Hilltopper Sports Weekly. On this segment, we will talk a little bit about the new signees the Toppers have had early in this signing period. The Toppers have signed 4 new players. We've talked about how just the current players that are young on this team, between Audrey Tingle, even Marissa Brown, she's a junior, but it's just her second season here on the Hilltop. Samantha Hall, another young player, Grace Fodor, Monica Bragg, some younger players that have had some time here, but with the new players, hoping some of the same from them when they come in and just be able to develop the way that these younger players that are currently here have.
Yeah, and that's what we kind of build our model on is we want to make sure that we're filling whatever holes or depth issues or needs we have, but it's always looking at things from a how do we feel things can progress over time. And, we visited about this last time on the show that, again, you look at us academically and people think, oh, you've got this many returning starters, this many upperclassmen. But then you look at the program and the history of this group, this particular team, and it's just not that case. So many first and second year players, with the exception of, really experience-wise, court-wise anyway, being Brandy and Johnny. So we need to, again, get more youth in, but continue to develop what we have. And I think you're seeing that happening quickly. We'd always, of course, like it to happen a little bit quicker. Yeah. So this next recruiting class will be no different. We're going to look to bring in players that we think can impact right away and get in the mix right away.
Well, two of the first new signees for the Lady Toppers, Lindsey Humble, 6'1" forward from Parma High School is one. Tasia Stanton as well. Humble is in her all of these players are in their senior seasons in high school as we speak. Humble was a two-time All-Great Lakes Conference player. She's done very well in her junior season. She set records for points, field goals, and rebounds in a game for her high school. Also, points, field goals in a single season records for her high school as well. Led the conference in scoring and rebounding. And if she continues the pace that she's been on, she will set all-time records at her high school as well.
Yeah, she will, and she's kind of been, kind of their everything at Parma for several years now. And I've had the luxury of getting to see kind of Lindsey come up a little bit because, Coach Seth has a background in coaching high school prior to taking the position last year at Baldwin-Wallace, and she actually coached Lindsey. And the thing that makes Lindsey so special is she is just nonstop. I mean, you talk about a kid that has passion for the game. Her motor doesn't ever stop, and she's physical, and she's gritty, and she's an athletic 6'1". So it's going to afford us an opportunity to get back to the idea of kind of defensively playing positionless basketball, switching a lot of screens, but she also brings some guard skill, so she can kind of play inside out, and that'll again trigger that positionless basketball a little bit more on the offensive side as well.
And another player that signed along with her, Tasia Stanton, signs along with Lindsey Humble. She has earned all East Central Ohio League honors, not just in basketball, but volleyball as well, so a two-sport star in Stanton.
Yeah, and Tasia's just an unbelievable athlete. It's funny. We went and watched one of her volleyball games here this fall, and she just impacts everything she plays because she's so athletic, and she's long, and I think it actually brings the player, we don't want to forget about a name that impacted our program, Kiki Simpson, but she has her caliber of athleticism and a similar game to her. I think she was kind of under the radar, probably didn't get enough of the respect that she's earned and deserved on the recruiting trail, as they say, but she's a player that's going to impact us in a major way with her athleticism, and she's actually got a sneaky offensive game that continues to get better and better, and she's an unbelievably coachable kid and a great kid, and her and Lindsey both are high academic as well with great futures ahead of them in the classroom, and that's really important to us too.
Yeah, Tasia, you said sneaky offensive. I don't know how sneaky. The notes, their stats that I got said she led the team in scoring as a junior, so hopefully that stays sneaky and she can continue to build it up even more and more each game, being sly against the other team. Then also some other new signees for the Lady Toppers, Destiny Hutchison and Kelsey Hewlett. Hutchison, a 5'7" combo guard. She passed the 1,000 career point scoring mark as a junior in high school. That's a pretty good feat.
Yeah, and she can really light it up. I mean, this is a player that's got a complete game. She's someone that I believe, really can be a scorer for us. It's going to bring an instant impact guard to an already guard-ridden roster that we can really score it in general. The thing that's great about Destiny is she's very athletic, and she gives us another what I call shot clock kid. So, we will be bringing next year Taylor Johnson, who's sitting out this year due to transfer requirements. But now you're going to have two players that have the kind of mentality of, I can go get you a bucket when the shot clock's winding down or when we need a stretch of no scoring. They can do it, and Destiny does it. She can shoot the three. She kind of has a little bit of guy to her game. She's very, very flashy. She'll be fun to watch for our fan base and definitely for our coaching staff, that's for sure.
She is also a soccer star in high school as well, so a lot of multiple sports stars coming here to play basketball on the Hilltop. Also, Kelsey Hewlett. She is a 5'11", hyper-athletic, as Don Clegg put it in his story about these girls. Also, again, basketball, volleyball, track star since she was a freshman. She's going to be doing track up here at West Liberty as well, throwing for Justin Simpson.
Yeah, Coach Simpson, I think, was definitely pleasantly surprised that we brought in a player that had a huge track history when it comes to throwing, and I think she'll impact them, and she's definitely going to have an impact on us. I think what you see with Kelsey is that she does a phenomenal job, again, of the nonstop high motor, and while she's only 5'11", she is a really, really crafty finisher, knows how to use her body, and has developed an outside game, so now she can play inside out. So getting back to the idea of post players that can switch a lot of screens, that can allow us to play faster on both ends of the floor, and again, play inside out. You know, this class for us, it's special because it's our first recruiting class, right. Meaning Coach Seth and my first recruiting class together. While I've recruited, you know, the majority of the players on this roster over my last 4 years, this is special to us, and it's unique because we are in a position we graduate one senior but have brought in 4 players. But what we're doing is we need to fill out depth at the post position, and we need to have players that can do the things we're wanting to do in the long run. So it'll be really interesting to see how those 3 posts get in the mix right away with, you know, returning a 6'3" player that's starting to dominate games. And I know Destiny will be able to impact us from both the point guard and the wing spot, so that'll give us some point guard depth as well as another scorer. So we're beyond excited about this, and I just can't wait to get them here.
Well, and you mentioned this a little bit earlier on in this segment. It's not just their talents on the court or on the athletic fields. It seems like they're all multi-sport stars. But it was nice to see that they all wanted to come to West Liberty because of the programs that were offered academically, because they are student athletes, and all of these ladies are very intelligent ladies.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that afforded us the opportunity to bring in such a talented group when only graduating 1 player. Is there are a lot of high academic kids on that list. All of them excel in the classroom. All of them have very, very high aspirations for their futures. And, you know, one thing that I've always loved about President Greiner and Coach Ullum is that they are big into the balance of this. And I think one of the things that's always stuck with me from the day I met President Greiner was he said, you're not recruiting just players, you're recruiting graduates. And that's something that's always going to resonate with me, and I'm confident that these 4 are going to fit that mold, and they're going to be extremely successful. So it's a point of pride for myself and our coaching staff to know that we're fulfilling that goal of recruiting not only great players but great students and kids that are going to graduate.
Well, hopefully a couple of these players are going to dental hygiene, as Liz Flowers did. Let's hope they can be All-Americans and be the type of players Liz and Kiki and Kylie Howe and all the great lady toppers of the past have been as well. That's it for this segment. When we come back, we will take a look around the Mountain East Conference and preview a little bit of the upcoming games for the Lady Toppers.
Hi, West Liberty. I'm Marcella Snyder, Executive Director of Housing and Student Life. This year, West Liberty is focusing on being more sustainable. This is important to me because it offers a wide variety of opportunities to maintain and improve our current quality of life. Here's one tip. Use less paper. Think before you print. If you have to turn in assignments, try reducing the margins and always print double-sided. If you have a printer, set the default to print on both sides. Use scrap paper to print if it's appropriate. And it may also be a good idea to ask your professor if you can submit papers through Sakai or email instead of printing them out. Remember, sustainability, it's everybody's responsibility.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Welcome back to Hilltopper Sports Weekly, Women's Basketball Edition. On this segment, Coach Cooper and I will take a look around the Mountain East Conference and look at some of the upcoming games for the Lady Toppers as well. The Mountain East Conference standings as they are today. Glenville State at 4-1 overall, Charleston 3-1, Notre Dame 5-2, and Urbana at 2-1. All of those teams are 2-0 in Mountain East Conference play. Shepherd at 4-2, Wesleyan at 2-2, your Lady Toppers at 2-4, and West Virginia State at 1-4. All of those teams are 1-1 in the Mountain East, and Fairmont State at 3-2, Concord 2-3, both Wise and Wheeling Jesuit at 1-4 overall in the season. All of those teams are 0-2 in conference play. Let's take a look at the preseason poll at where everything started before any games were played. And a little bit of difference there with Wheeling Jesuit all the way up at the top. But now, early on in the season, they are yet to win a game in conference in just one game so far this season. The Lady Toppers were 8th in the preseason poll. Right now, they're right around that area as well at 2-4 in the conference. But any discrepancies or anything with the preseason poll related to the standings as they are now, or any surprising things that you see from that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think a lot of it goes into just people look at how things played out last year, and then they kind of do a glance over who's got what back, and then they formulate in their head what it's going to look like and kind of play it safe. You know, the thing that I would say that doesn't surprise me at all is over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of changes, both from coaching standpoints, style of play standpoints, and then players. You're seeing a group that over 2 or 3 years was really star-stridden, and a ton of kids going for all-conference, all-American, a ton of honors, including ourselves. That has kind of been restructured. There's a ton of new faces, both on the sideline and on the court, and because of it, there's a lot of unknown. Yeah. And I think you're seeing that, which makes the games a little bit more fun for the fans, a little bit more stressful for the coaching staffs.
I was going to say, for the viewers, the fans, and myself as just a broadcaster, a fan as well, it is fun to see that the unknown you see a Fairmont team that graduated 5 seniors, or at least more than 5, but 5 starters, and they have to bring in all new players. Mm-hmm. It's just crazy to see those kind of things happen in college sports at any level. But it will be fun to see this year go on and how the Mountain East Conference plays out. That tournament in March should be something special to watch. It's going to be a lot of fun to be down there. The Toppers, again, will have 2 Mountain East Conference games coming up against Urbana and Notre Dame. But first, let's take a look at the current Mountain East Conference Player of the Week from West Virginia State. It is Shay Hines. She averaged 19.5 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals in her 2 games last week in a win over Fairmont State. She had 18 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and 4 steals. And then against Seton Hill, she had 21 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 steals. Shay Hines is just a very, very good player for West Virginia State. West Virginia State, one of those teams that has talent between her and Sydney Bates as well. They've got some players that can really play. Yeah, they do. And you know, Shay Hines is a veteran, and she is one of those players that'll be completing, you know, week in and week out for probably not only first team all conference, but potentially maybe even a player of the year vote or 2 that could springboard her to that honor as well. But she's good. And the thing about, you know, Coach Marshall down there, his system, it fits her to a T. She gets to play on the open floor a lot, and she's pretty versatile, and so she's a special player, and one, you know, we don't look forward to going against every time, that's for sure, but she presents a challenge to everyone, that's for sure. Yeah, Coach Marshall did coach at Glenville State, so he's got a little bit of that style that you saw the Toppers play against earlier this season. Speaking of games coming up for the Lady Toppers, Urbana will be Wednesday night at 5:30 at the Grimes Center. It'll be a full West Liberty Sports Network broadcast. It'll be video and audio from myself and Kyle Patrick. Again, Urbana coach last season swept the series against Urbana, played pretty well against them, looking to do the same again this year. Yeah, I think that's always the goal is, and then the hard part is always, it's never easy to win on the road, and that's one of the things we're really working on as a program is the idea of getting up for road games, getting focused, getting in a routine, and taking care of business. We did go 2-0 against them last year, but they've got a new coach, they've got some new players. It's definitely a new year. You know, we're a different team, so it'll be interesting to see how the matchup goes. They are sitting 2-0 in league play, which is a change from where they were at last year in a major way, and
it just goes to show sometimes what happens with coaching change and what kind of buy-in you get or don't get. But again, it'll be an interesting challenge. They've got some guards that can really go, and they can throw 4 or 5 different post players at you. So I think it'll be a battle of style of plays, and I think, for us, we've got to go in there and we've got to play our style of basketball, share the ball, play up tempo, and really lock in on the defensive end. That's something that we're working on day in and day out, and we need to continue to get better at in a major way.
And I know you as a coach and maybe the players as well don't want to look too far ahead. As a broadcaster, fan, and for the viewers out there, we will look ahead to Saturday's game against Notre Dame. Notre Dame, another good team. They're 5-2 so far this season, 2-0 in conference. That'll be Saturday, December 2nd at 2 p.m. here at the ASRC versus Notre Dame College. But the Lady Toppers are going to have to play pretty well against Notre Dame. They lost one key player last year, but they've got some pretty good returning ones this year as well.
Yeah, and again, we don't talk a whole lot about Notre Dame as a program, but I also understand the side that we got to know what's going on publicly here. So they are good, and they're talented, and, they did lose a key piece, but they've got some guards that can really play. And the thing that's, been impressive is they're in a coaching change. Katie Hine has moved on. She's now an athletic director at a high school, and she's someone I've got a great deal of respect for. So I hated to see her go. From a colleague standpoint and a friend standpoint and a mentor standpoint, but it does bring in another new coach, and to Coach Macer's credit, they've really bought in. They're shooting the ball unbelievably well. They're playing hard. We got a live look at them up at Notre Dame, their opening weekend for the conference challenge. Done us some challenges, but again, like you said, we're looking at things right now. We are trying to go 1-0. Our season right now is about 48 hours of our life, and that's all we're thinking about. So right now it's 1-0, Urbana is the focus for us.
Well, this season is going to be fun for the Lady Toppers. So far early on in this season, they have yet to play a team that I would call weak. They've had some very tough challenges so far. This week will be no different. 2 teams that are undefeated in conference play in Urbana and Notre Dame. So, Coach, good luck this week. It'll be fun to call that game out in Urbana and then back home this Saturday afternoon against Notre Dame.
I appreciate it, and thank you guys so much for taking time to come out and get some video on that for us, for our fan base, because that's unbelievably important to us, and we appreciate the support and the respect that you give women's basketball. So thank you guys.
Well, it's been a pleasure. It's been fun to do. Be sure to watch in on the West Liberty Sports Network for those West Liberty women's basketball games coming up against Urbana and Notre Dame. Both will be full video broadcasts on the West Liberty Sports Network. So for Coach Cooper, thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching. Until next time on Hilltopper Sports Weekly.
I hope life treats you kind, and I hope you have all you dreamed of, and I wish it happiness, but above all this, I wish you love. And I will always love you. You can beat the world, you can beat the war. You could talk to God, go banging on his door. You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks. You can be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you can find yourself. Stand in the Hall of Fame. Be politicians, be preachers, yeah, yeah. Be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions. Standing in the Hall of Fame.
Now reaching over 100,000 homes, WLU TV 14, the Ohio Valley's educational access station.